Hey y'all, quick intro here because later on in this video I talk a little bit about when the WGA strike might end, and I mention things about the DGA and SAG potentially striking. I actually filmed this video before the DGA came to a tentative agreement with the AMPTP on Saturday, and before on Monday SAG authorized a strike with like 97% of the vote. So as of right now, as of this recording right here, DGA most likely isn't going to strike. Their members are going to probably be ratifying this deal that they got. And SAG is not striking yet, but they do have the authority to strike from the members so that they can go into negotiations with the AMPTP with that as leverage. All that being said, none of that really changes the timeline for the WGA strike for various reasons. Number one, that SAG could strike potentially, and number two, that while in the past the DGA deals have tended to push the writers towards making a deal with the AMPTP, a lot of things that the DGA is negotiating for and a lot of things the WGA is negotiating for do not overlap. AI is one of the things that does overlap, but I think the DGA's deal with AI, their agreed upon deal point, is not enough for the writers for various reasons, but this is not really the point of the video. I just wanted to let y'all know that I am aware of these developments, and this video is now a little bit out of date in terms of news about the other guilds, but the WGA is still on strike, and I still believe the earliest the strike will resolve is August or September. And now, enjoy hearing about what the WGA said to me about my table read. Hey y'all, I'm Paige Feldman. I'm a writer and director, and here on this YouTube channel, I'm documenting the making of my debut feature as a writer-director. It's called Back to You, and it's a contained romantic comedy. And I'm currently hard at work on draft number 6 here in my binder, because I like doing my revisions on paper. And as if you've been here, you know that a couple weeks ago I said, I'm gonna have a table read next month. That's the goal. I wanna get through this revision I'm currently on, and then one more polish and tighten revision to make sure everything's just feels good, feels right. And then I wanna have a table read so that actors can read the lines out loud. I can hear them, I can get their insights, because actors are so good at just like focusing on character, asking really great questions about motivation that I, as a writer and director, don't necessarily see, because I'm looking at the script and the story as a forest, and the actors are great at seeing the tree of their character, knowing the ins and outs, and being able to articulate problems or concerns in ways that help me as a writer and also point out issues that I didn't even realize. So really looking forward to getting that singular kind of feedback. However, we are in a different time right now because the WGA is currently on strike. The Writers Guild of America is striking because their contract with the AMPTP, the producers, like big studios and streamers, so like Paramount, Netflix, Disney, Fox, Hulu, Apple, Amazon, all that, all the big names, anyone who works with the WGA and is a signatory to their agreement. No one in the WGA is writing, and no one who's not in the WGA, if you hope to join the WGA in the future, can engage with these struck companies or signatory companies. And the reason the WGA is striking is it's great. It's basically because these companies are trying to do away with writing as a career. This isn't intentional on their part. They're not like, no one should have a career as a writer. That's not what they're saying. But what they're doing is they are looking at film and television production and creation as a tech company would, because so many of these large studios are now owned by tech companies. They're looking at this as, how can we be as efficient as possible, pay people as little as possible to do the work, and how can we ensure that we're not overutilizing our resources, which works really well for tech, but for making film and TV, which is an art, which is, especially for television, something that requires someone who knows the story inside and out to be around from day one to day end. I don't, there's no like, it's not day 100 or anything. It just doesn't work like that. And so there are things that are happening in Hollywood now, like mini rooms, where writers are getting paid a pittance to basically do the work of entire writer's room in just a few weeks and then not get brought on for the show. And additionally, Writers aren't able to go on set and learn how to produce TV. And as a result, you have a dying class of showrunners who know how to do the production work, because production versus writing are two very different tasks. We're gonna have, in just a generation or less, no showrunners who know how to make TV. And then you're not going to have this like tight control over the series. You're not going to have this one dominant voice to help create like all of the amazing TV that we have and love. It's not going to be there. The Writers Guild is fighting for fair wages, to stop this gig economy, and to continue writer education, and also for things like ensuring that writers don't get replaced by AI or have to be credited with AI's work or something equally sinister and dystopian. So everything the writers are working for is spot on and amazing, and I am super in favor of it. Because I want to stand in solidarity with the WGA, I decided that before I had this table read, before I got the wheels in motion beyond announcing that this is what I want to do, that I should email them and ask, is this okay? Because part of this table read is going to be posting it on YouTube, opening up the Zoom call to people, and just generally continuing to be as transparent about my process as I have been. So I wrote them a couple weeks ago after I announced, and I finally got a response a couple days ago, so I thought I'd take a minute to read that response for you. Thank you for your solidarity, Paige. Writers are prohibited from self-producing or premiering a self-produced project during the strike, including a recorded table read. You can write a spec script during a strike, but neither you nor your reps can take any action to further the future of the spec script, including developing the script with a producer or attaching talent or other elements to the project. Further, if you are using a website to make your material available to be reviewed by others and representatives of struck companies may access your material, that is, anyone with internet access can see it, that will be a violation too. You cannot share any of your material, including a table read, with any representative of a struck company. Unless you are able to ensure that no representatives of a struck company will have access to your material, what you describe is prohibited. Further guidance is available here. In solidarity, Josh. So that's the response. And what does it mean? It means that a lot of my plans are kind of up in the air. Because this table read would be self-producing, and it would be a premiere technically, because I would be putting my script out into the world for people to see. People including you, who maybe some of you are part of a struck company. If you are, go away, I guess. I don't want to talk with you until the strike's over. But if the strike's over and you're watching this later, hi, you're amazing. Get in touch with me. I stand in solidarity with the WGA, which means I will, fingers crossed, do things like go picket as soon as I can get some time off from my day job to do so, and talk to you all about why what the writers are doing is so important, which is ensuring the future of writing as a career. But also it means that I need to ensure that I'm not doing anything to undermine the efforts of the Writers Guild. And putting this table read out onto the internet would undermine their efforts. It would be putting a new project into the pipeline. It would be available to people from struck companies if I were to do it the way I want to, the way I plan to, which was to record a Zoom call, get some feedback, invite people to the Zoom call, and then put the table read in its entirety up on this channel for you all to look at and to give feedback as you see fit. And also to just be transparent, because it's fun to share my process. So much about making film and TV is like in the shadows a lot of the time. It feels good to share my process and to talk about what I'm doing because it's so much fun and I love it. So I have two options here, because my current plan, what was my current plan, is a violation of the strike, and I would be considered a scab if anyone from a struck company saw this table read, and I want to join the WGA at some point in the future, and scabbing right now is not only against my personal code of ethics, it also would bar me from joining the union. So I can either, number one, have a private table read. It wouldn't be considered a premiere, not be recorded. I would hire actors, invite some friends who I knew didn't work for a struck company, and have everybody sign NDAs, and I would get the feedback that I needed, do another rewrite, move about with my day. Number two is wait for the strike to be resolved. And for several reasons, I have chosen number two, which is I'm not going to have this table read until the strike is resolved. And the reasons are, number one, like I said, I really like being transparent, and I wouldn't be able to be transparent and share this with you if I did this during the strike. Number 2 is that I'm paying the actors who are doing this table read, but I'm not paying them a lot. Because I'm not paying them a lot, I want to ensure that they get some value from this besides, the amount of money that would be for a nice dinner out. And that is give them a copy of the table read. Give them a video to share with their reps, to share with anyone who they would want to just have for posterity. I don't know if they'd want it for their reel, but that would be for them to decide. And because of these rules, I would not be able to record the table read, and I would not be able to share the table read with the actors. And getting copy is a super important part of paying people, and so they wouldn't get copy. I don't want to do that. And then number 3, selfishly, I want feedback from a wide variety of people. And part of that is being able to share it on YouTube. Waiting will allow me to invite more people into the fold to see this script, to give feedback, and to help me make it the best film eventually that it's going to be. So that's what's going on with the table read. I'm going to postpone it until the strike is over. Now, when is the strike going to be over? Not sure. The chatter that I'm hearing is the earliest people are thinking is August or September. And this is because the DGA and SAG, their contracts both expire, I believe, July 1st. Because of that, AMPTP, the producers conglomeration, the people that everyone has the contracts with, are going to be negotiating with DGA and SAG up until that contract expires. So the earliest that WGA is really going to get into the room, in my opinion, thought process, is July 1. So the earliest that they would be getting a deal is probably August. It could be later though, because if SAG and DGA strike, my guess is that the AMPTP is going to want to negotiate with SAG first, get that settled, because it's a lot harder to replace actors, especially with recognizable faces. SAG is going to be the one that's going to get resolved first, then DGA, because then you can get things back in production, and then the WGA. So they're third in line, based on history and the chatter that I'm hearing. And what that also means is that proof of concept is up in the air too. According to Josh Weiser over at the WGA, I cannot self-produce a project during this strike. If this project was already in production, if all those wheels were turning and I was just going on as a director, that's fine. I don't feel right producing a project right now with the WGA on strike, now knowing exactly from legal that I should not be making this film, even if I am not in the guild and I wouldn't be working with anyone who was working with a struck company. It just doesn't feel right based on this response. Until the strike is resolved, I'm not going to prepare for this shoot. Beyond doing the one thing I can do, which is writing a spec script, which means I'm going to be writing the proof of concept script for the proof of concept and just holding tight. That is kind of where I am. My immediate goals haven't changed because I still need to get the revision I'm currently on done, and then I need to get that polish and tighten pass done as well. After that's over, instead of focusing on the table read, I will be focusing on writing this proof of concept script. And after that, getting an idea in my own head of what I'm going to need to make sure that as soon as the strike is over, I can hit the ground running. So maybe I create a pitch deck, though I'm not going to be necessarily as open with sharing it as I would until the strike's over, but I can show you my process for how I do. Creating a budget, watching films and refilling my creative bank, and finding comps to figure out how to position this story. There's a lot of research and other writing I can do as I wait for the strike to be over, and I'll obviously be sharing everything that I'm doing as I'm doing it. And fingers crossed, in just a matter of months, writing will be protected as a career for many years to come. And I'll be back on track for this table read, that proof of concept, and everything else that comes with making Back to You. If you have any questions for me, drop them in the comments. If you have any questions for the WGA, I can share the link that I used to contact them initially. It's wgacontract2023.org/contact, and I'll drop that in the description below. So until next week, thank you all so much for watching Cake Fight Presents The Making Of, and I'll see ya. Bye.